At the end of this video, we'll take a look at MadRamp's innovative pivoting ramp system, the safer, easier way to transport your ATVs and snowmobiles. Stick around. Before we begin, I'd like to give a quick shout out to our friends at the historic Lancaster Motel in Lancaster, New Hampshire. The Lancaster Motel has been serving snowmobilers since the 60s, and they are the perfect eastern trail riding destination for snowmobilers young and old. The Lancaster Motel is right on Corridor Trail 5 in Lancaster, New Hampshire, with plenty of parking for vehicles, sleds, and trailers. Plus, the Lancaster Motel is within walking distance of Crane's Snowmobile Museum, plus restaurants, shopping, entertainment, and more. Click the link in the description to learn more about the Lancaster Motel. Good evening and welcome to the podcast. I'm really glad you're here tonight. We have a full slate of vintage snowmobile entertainment on tap for you tonight. In just a few moments, we're going to be speaking with Stephen Burdick. He's going to be showing his vintage snowmobile collection. But before we do, I want to make sure that everything is working properly. So if you can see my face and hear my voice, I'm going to ask you to make a comment in the comment section. Let me know where you're viewing this from. Also, let me know whether you're a first-time viewer or a regular viewer. If you're a first-time viewer here tonight, I thank you for stopping by to check this out. I hope that you enjoy this and that you like what you see and that you decide to join us every single week here at every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Pardon me. I've got a tickle in my throat tonight. It's going to be a struggle to get through this, but we're not going to miss it. I'm going to continue even if I'm struggling. Anyway, where was I? If you are a regular viewer, I thank you for coming back here each and every week to be a part of this. I see a lot of familiar faces in the comments, and I thank you so much for coming back here every week. And I've got a lot of people now who are starting to contribute, both as far as wanting to come on the program live and people sharing footage and photos and comments, questions. This is just making me so happy to do this, because this is exactly what I wanted to do with this, is to have this be a reflection of the community where people can share and we can all watch it together and enjoy it together, because this is what we all like. So let's take a look at some comments. I see they're coming in. Here we go. Joe Mikowski. I think he's a regular viewer. I've seen that name before. Thompson, Connecticut. We have John Spranger Jr. He's a regular on here from central Wisconsin. Thanks for coming on. Kevin Miller from Manitoba, Canada. Thanks for coming on. We have Chad Chevret from Gore Bay. Gore Bay, baby. Thanks for coming on. I think I've seen Chad on here before as well. John Beckman from Arkdale, Wisconsin. Thanks for coming on, John. John Latz from Toronto, Canada. We've got Jack Ulch, a regular viewer from Harrison, Michigan. In fact, I need to give a shout out to Jack. He has shared some footage with me that I'll be playing for you tonight a little later in the program. I think you're really going to like it. And I thank him so much for sending me that footage. We've got Brody Messner, regular viewer. He is on here each and every week from Henderson, Minnesota, and I thank him for that. Thank you, Brody, for coming on every week. Jim Gaccione, loud and clear. Thanks for coming on, Jim. We've got Joe Roseout. I'm sure I'm butchering that, and I apologize. He's from South Weymouth, Mass, and he's a second-time viewer, and I thank you for coming on again, Joe. He can see and hear. Joe Mikowski can see and hear I'm tripping on my words tonight. Can see and hear me, and he regularly watches from Thompson, Connecticut. John Latz, first-time viewer. Thanks for coming on and giving us a check out. Nick Kafaz, regular viewer from snowy Burt Lake, Indian River, Michigan. Glad you guys are getting some snow. Stacy and Art Fosler, regular viewers. Thank you for coming on. We've got Jeff Soyring from Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. We've got Alden Banks, regular viewer from Bristol, New Brunswick, Canada. Someone here is saying, hi, Mike. We've got Nathaniel Drews from Lombria, Wisconsin. Gerard Swisher, Central Michigan, first-time viewer. Thanks for coming on. Jerry Smith from Greenfield Center, New York. Keith Ackerman from upstate New York. Alden Banks says he enjoys the podcast. Thank you so much. We appreciate that compliment. And back at you, we appreciate your coming on a regular basis. John Wernsdorfer from down south, way down south. Cool deal. Virginia Beach. Cool. Glenn Ford from Vernon Center, New York. Jeff Brame, regular viewer. Thanks for coming on here every week, Jeff. We have Troy Davis from Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. Peter Russell from Mary's Harbor, Labrador. Dan Wilfor. We've got Joe Mikowski. Brian Robillard says he is currently loading sleds onto the trailer. Cool deal. So he's a friend of Brian Robillard, and Brian Robillard is a regular on here as well, not only as a viewer, but as a contributor. He has contributed a lot of videos, and he's been on here live, and he'll be on here live again very soon. We were just about to bring Stephen on. We've got Ray Fecht, first-time viewer from Ayr, Ontario. I hope I didn't butcher your name, Ray, but I thank you for coming on to check this out. Last one here is Jerry Smith, first-time viewer. Thanks for coming on, Jerry. I really appreciate it. Now, let's not keep Stephen waiting any longer. Let's get him onto the stream. And just a click away. Here we go. How you doing, Stephen? Thanks for coming on.
Great. How about you?
Very well, thank you. Now, I understand that you were originally from New England. Is that correct?
I was. I grew up in central New Hampshire and spent all the way through college kind of in New England and then moved out here to the West Coast.
Wonderful, wonderful. And it looks like you brought some of that collection with you. Is that right?
I did. I've still got a few sleds hiding in New Hampshire and a few other sleds hiding in a storage unit around here. But I've kind of got a new place and got things a little bit organized and kind of got them at my own house here now. So it's a good thing.
Awesome. Yeah, we can't wait to see it. Now, I wanted to ask you also, I think you mentioned that your father was a snowmobile dealer at one point. I wonder if you could tell us a little about that.
Yeah, my dad started in '69 as a Boland's dealer in Andover, New Hampshire. And over the course of probably the next 5 years, he had Polaris and Boland's and sold some Huskies and Alouette and Northway and Eskimo and
Wow.
Osa motorcycles and Butacos and a few other items that he had in his dealership there. But that was all before I was really alive. But
Sure.
that was what he did for a job until one of the interstate systems kind of put people going in another direction in that area.
Sure. But it sounds like that his passion for that rubbed off on you.
It did. I was telling you as we were talking earlier that a lot of my childhood was spent snowmobiling in New England and restoring vintage sleds and hunting down parts so my dad and I could piece something back together and do a restoration together. And that was really one of my fondest memories growing up in New England was that
Wonderful.
that and the New Hampshire Snowmobile Museum and the people of that area.
Nice. That's right. I think you mentioned you were connected to that museum.
Yeah. It was kind kind of back in about the mid 80s, through to the time that I moved out here. And then even when I moved out here, I still would fly back for vintage shows and all sorts of stuff as I tried to continue to do some of the volunteer work from 3,000 miles away. It got a little harder as time passed.
Wow. Well, that's really cool. Now we got Bill Cook asking a question, wanting to know where these sleds are hiding. I know you're in Washington State. Can you tell us where in Washington State?
Yeah, I'm almost the geographical center of Washington State, and it's in Orondo, Washington, and it sits right on the Columbia River, about halfway between the Canadian border and Oregon, and about halfway between Spokane and Seattle.
Yeah, nice.
And it's snowing outside right now.
Oh, it is. Good deal. Good deal. Once we're done, will you take some sleds out at some point, or do you have modern sleds for trail riding? Or
yeah, my kids love to have me tow them up the hill on the other side, and they ski down it. So we kind of have a motorized rope tow, so to speak.
That is cool. That's cool. They'll have good memories of that someday.
Oh yeah.
Good deal. Yeah, if you're ready to turn your camera around and show us what you have there, we would love to take a look.
Yeah, let me flip the camera over here.
And to our viewers, while he's doing that, feel free to ask questions of Stephen or make comments, and also please compliment him if you like what you see there.
So I guess I'll just kind of start in a round robin fashion here and try to get a little bit of everything. So I've got some newer stuff in my collection, like this little Minty VMAX 4. That's pretty cool sled. I bought it with about 700 miles on it, and that came from the West Coast here. Believe it or not, somebody had that thing out here. And I've got a little Junior Brute that actually came out of Ontario. I traded a Merc Snow Twister suspension for that sled. I feel like the lucky recipient of that one.
Yeah.
And I've got all three versions of the Super Brute from Alouette. So I've got a 295, a 340, and a 440.
Yeah.
Also have a bunch of kind of, snowmobile memorabilia that goes along with this stuff. So a double-sided lighted sign from Alouette.
Yeah. Are those from your father's dealership?
You know what? It's a really sad story because my dad had one of those. And when his business went out of business, he turned it upside down, pulled the faces out of it, and used it as a shop light over the bench for about 15 years. Yeah. And then threw it away.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I had to search this one out, but.
Wow. But it's like the one your father had?
Yeah, it's exactly the same. So I was able to find one, but it was, a little tricky.
Can you give us another look at that real quick before you get into these Alouette?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool. So that's like the one your dad had.
Yep. I remember it growing up. It was over the bench. The faces were out of it, and we just used the ballast and the fluorescent lights as a shop light over the bench.
Nice. And you get a banner just below it too, right?
I do. Yep. That's an Alouette Delivers Advanced Snowmobiling.
Very cool.
And to be honest with you, I don't know where that came from. It was off the internet somewhere along the way.
Nice. And Eldon Banks is saying he loves your VMAX.
Yeah, it's the only Yamaha snowmobile that's got a ton of horsepower and a mechanical brake. Good Lord. So a couple more things up here. We've got a 340 Alouette Super. And that came out of Jerry McGee's collection in New Hampshire. Mm-hmm. And then I've got the back end of a Yamaha 73 SR 433.
Yeah.
That was they came out of Lee and Conch's collection in Wisconsin. And then I'll kind of move down a level here. My dad and I, this is the first sled we really restored, is this 66 Ski-Doo Olympic S. Yeah. And it's got the double carb setup on the single cylinder engine. It's kind of cool. Very
nice. Yeah, that's a nice shape too.
I remember buying that in a laundry basket.
Oh, really?
If you can believe it or not, it was in a laundry basket.
Wow. So all the parts and everything were in a laundry basket.
Yeah, it came in pieces, and we just kind of, pieced it together and made it work. Maybe I'll keep going with the Ski-Doos here. So my dad loved restoring vintage Ski-Doos. So we've got the 66, a 65 Chalet, a 63 Kohler 4-stroke, and then this 61 tin cab here on the end.
Yeah. Wow, that's really nice. All of those are beautiful.
Thanks.
You got some nice restorations.
You know, the 61 has a little story to it. I couldn't afford it when I found it, and it was unrestored. And a buddy of mine, Dave Gazaway, bought it in New Hampshire and restored it. And it's a beautiful restoration. I really like it. It had some cool patina because it was all rusted and kind of yellowy rust.
Yeah.
It was really cool as an original, but it's also cool as a restored sled.
Yeah, for sure.
So I kind of go down here. I've got a Brute LC44. That's a liquid cooled 3-cylinder. And that one actually came out of Alberta, Canada. And I had it shipped to Vancouver and went there and picked it up and brought it home and nursed it back to life.
Yeah.
Then this Speedway came out of New Hampshire when I was still living back there. That's a 440.
Yeah, very nice. Is that a metallic blue?
Yeah, it's got a lot of speckle coat in it.
I was going to say I see some flake in there, or at least I think I do.
Yeah, it's got that, it glistens in the sunlight.
Yeah, that's a nice finish. Please continue. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to answer any questions. Then this 76 SRX came out of a swap meet here in Washington in the Seattle area. And I showed up and it happened to be there. And another guy was kind of looking at it. And he asked me, the other guy that was looking at it asked me, well, what do you plan on doing with it? And I said, well, I'd probably buy it, restore it, and never get rid of it. And he goes, then you should buy it. So it was, and he's one of my great friends. That was how we met that day was, hey, what are you going to do with this thing? Are you going to keep it or are you just going to flip it? And I said, well, yeah, I'm going to keep it because it's a cool sled.
Yeah, for sure. So it was important to him to know that this was going to a good home.
Yes, very much so.
Very nice.
All right. So I got over here, climb up on my ladder. I've got a 68 Yamaha SL350.
Yeah.
And that came out of Woodstock, New Hampshire when I was living back there. And I don't know exactly how many of those were made, but there's lots of rumors about how many were made and that they were supposed to go back to Yamaha, that they were kind of a prototype and only given to sleds in the snow belt, and lots of stories and rumors, and who knows what's true and what's not. But I've only seen a couple in person, and it's probably one of my favorite sleds in my collection.
Nice. I believe it's the only one I've ever seen. I've never seen one with a light assembly quite like that.
Yeah, it's quite neat. I wish I could get to the other side. It's got twin carbs with some big they almost look like aerosol spray can caps on the end of the carbs as air cleaners. Okay, yeah. It's a pretty neat sled. It's interesting to see the progression between 68 and 69 and what stayed the same and what didn't. It's kind of a neat pivotal couple sleds. Yeah. It's true. At that time, the late 60s through the early 70s, a lot was happening with the technology and design of snowmobiles, for sure. Right. Oh, for sure. Is totally right. Then I've got a 70 SL338 that's kind of minty, and I picked that up in Eastern Massachusetts when I was going to college at UMass. Nice. Then the little Mini Z came out of Washington. I got that for my son as his first sled the weekend before he was born. Oh, wow. Nice. So he's growing right into this hobby then. He is. We transitioned onto a Bravo a couple of years ago, and now he's on a Phaser Mountain. So he keeps moving up in the world. Very cool. Very cool. Now I'm going to interrupt you for a second. Scott Haston, I think, has just joined us, and he's wanted to know who we're talking with and where this is. And yes, we're speaking with Stephen Burdick, and he is out in Washington State, Central Washington. But yeah, please continue, Stephen. Yeah. So 84 Phaser, and I love the connection between the Super Brutes and the Phaser, because there's some rumors in there too that Yamaha purchased a Super Brute in the crate and took it back to Japan and analyzed the thing. And 10 years after Alouette went out of business, here comes this Phaser that's remarkably similar with the headlight on the handlebars and the instrument pod. Yeah. And it was very similar. Yeah, there's too many similarities to not be quite a real story. Then I did start recently, well, I say recently, in the last 5 years or so, restoring a 340. And haven't done much on that in the last couple of years, but hope to make that a project here coming pretty soon.
Nice.
So over on this side, I got a Boland's key coffer, and the rumor on this one has it that Carl Keycoffer from Mercury Marine, he kind of split off on his own, and there's some great pictures of just stacked up Keycoffer engines that all ended up being available because Bombardier or Ski-Doo decided not to use Keycoffer as their engine manufacturer. They went with Rotex instead. But this sled actually has that Keycoffer engine in it with the electronic CDI.
Very cool.
So it's kind of a neat sled.
Yeah, for sure.
My dad always said that was one of his favorite sleds he ever sold. Basically due to the fact that it's a screamer. The thing's got a lot of power for a 440.
Nice, yeah.
Then I've got a 72 Kitty Cat up here, and I don't think this had ever been run. I don't think it had ever had fuel in the tank. And as much as I wanted to keep it that way, it's really hard to have a sled and not put gas in it. So it has been run, and it has been ridden by my son on a really limited basis. Sure.
Now that wheel kit, is that for driveway driving?
Yeah, we used to. Oops, I climbed down the ladder. We used to mess around with it a little bit in the yard, and just tried to keep it out of the trees.
Yeah. Very cool. Now Scott Haston is asking, how many square feet is this building?
Oh. It's actually the garage underneath my house. So it's, it might be 1,000 square. It might be 1,000 square feet.
Nice.
I've tried to maximize my space by having pallet racks and having a little forklift here to be able to pick things up and put them on racks. So
very cool. Yeah. That allows you to get maximum use of that space, which you're definitely doing.
Yeah. So this is an Alouette Silver Cloud, and it was Alouette's version of a rotary sled. So it's got the 295 rotary in it.
Yeah. Very cool.
And then let's see here. Got a big Yamaha dealer sign.
Nice, yeah.
And a horrible story about a broken Yamaha dealer sign.
Oops.
But I got 2 good panels in it now, but a horrible story. Story for another day.
Gotcha. No problem. Well, I like that Yamaha.
Yeah, and this is a great runner. I really actually enjoy running this one. It's loud as anything, and it's a hoot to ride.
Very cool. Is that a 440 or 340 or what?
Yeah, it's a 433.
433, yeah.
And it's funny in comparison wise, because the Yamaha's a 73 and the Alouette's a 74. And the Yamaha, when you're flying down the trail on it feels pretty like rigid and pretty firm in the chassis. And the Alouette feels like a Budweiser can as it twists and moves and buckles, and it's a totally different world.
Wow. Two completely different experiences.
I just read a comment about no Polaris. I just don't have my Polarises here.
Oh, wow.
I don't allow them to fraternize with the other sleds.
Keep them separated.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, cool. We'll have to have you on another time for those.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
And I'm glad that you can see the comments. I was going to ask you if you can see them because a lot of people are paying compliments to you. I wanted to make sure that you're seeing all of that.
Oh, thanks. Well, I caught a couple. Some yes and some no.
Gotcha. Okay. But please continue.
Well, I just wanted to, like I said, my dad was a dealer, and I was able to find one of these stickers on one snowmobile we recovered from New Hampshire. So I do have a little bit of a project dream that I'm going to someday make up one of these stickers for every one of the sleds that I currently have and put it on the tunnel somewhere.
That's a great idea.
Just haven't gotten there yet.
Very cool. I'm going to interrupt you 1 second. Kevin Olson is asking about that Silver Cloud, wondering if it's a Mark 1 or a Mark 2.
Oh, that's a good question. I believe it's a Mach 1.
Gotcha. Wonderful. Please continue.
Yeah. So, I do collect a bunch of memorabilia and stuff, and I just moved in and haven't got nearly any of it out yet. But these are just a couple of the brochures for some of the sleds that were sitting in here today that I pulled. I kind of have brochures for most every sled I've collected. So, trying to find a 68 Yamaha brochure is a tricky feat.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
And
Those
hey,
are really nice.
there's our Polaris for whoever was asking.
There we go. Yeah. The Polaris box has been checked.
Yeah.
Very cool.
This one's one of those.
That's an oldie.
Yeah, big long ones from 63.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah.
Those are in really nice shape too.
Thanks. Yeah, they're like I said, I've kind of collected them and picked them up over the course of time, and just tried to preserve them the best way I can. And I'd always hoped someday I'd have a chance to kind of get them out and display them a bit.
Yeah. Some old retro snowshoes.
Yeah. Well, what's cool about them is they're Skidoo.
Oh, really?
Yeah. See if I can. The emblem's a little hard to see, but maybe you can see it there.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
So I'm assuming they're from, I'm thinking maybe the early 70s, but
yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. Maybe somebody would know more about this and the numbers and stuff that are on them, but I'm not 100% sure. But when you find something like that at a yard sale, you just kind of pick them up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're not going to turn your back on something like that.
No, it's hard to.
Now, Beach McIntyre is asking if you ride any of these sleds.
I do, and I used to do a lot of vintage riding. My parents had a big chunk of property in central New Hampshire, and every single year, everything would get run just to exchange the fuel. And, when I became a dad and I had a family, all of a sudden the possibilities of getting every vintage sled in our collection out and running it every year kind of died.
Sure.
So I have put avgas in everything and pickled everything. And, a couple things come out a year, but I've kind of tried to, like I said, kind of pickle things so that I don't end up having to work on stuff every time I want to ride something.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many people have used avgas as their choice of pickling, but if you haven't ever used avgas, you really need to think about it, because I guarantee any sled in this collection would start and run immediately off of what's just sitting here.
That's cool. So it doesn't get gummy or anything.
Yeah, it just doesn't break down and mess up. Even non-ethanol fuel doesn't last, a period of time, but the avgas 100 low lead is really good stuff.
Good to know. That's a good tip. That is a good tip. Now, I've got Steve Keander on here. He's saying hello to you. He said he was able to sit on the board with your dad, George, for the New Hampshire Snowmobile Museum, and he pays the compliment that your dad was a great guy, had a ton of history, and it's nice to see you carrying on the legacy.
Oh, thanks a ton. That means a lot. My dad meant a lot to me, so it's nice to know that other people felt highly of him too.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, a question for you, a personal question: how do you see the Western snowmobile scene, vintage snowmobile scene, as compared to the Northeast or maybe even the Midwest? Are there any differences at all, good, bad, or otherwise?
Well, there's a great group of vintage snowmobile people out here. I would say that we are not nearly as close together geographically as people on the East Coast or people in the Midwest. So, some of the people that I enjoy hanging out with vintage sled-wise live, 6 hours from me, but are still in the same state.
Wow.
So the physical distances become a challenge on occasion.
Yeah.
But a great group of people, and there's really an emphasis on vintage rides and doing that sort of stuff right now, which is pretty fun.
Yeah.
They've had to cancel most of their stuff this year due to the COVID stuff, but it's fun to get together and hang out and ride old sleds and mess around and make new friends,
So is this an active club that does vintage things, put on vintage shows and rides and so forth?
Yeah, it is. It's the Pacific Northwest Vintage Snowmobile Club.
Yeah.
And they're pretty active. We have a couple, large snow show sort of stuff, like the Puyallup Snow Show, which is the Washington State Snowmobile Association. They put on a big, new sled show every year, and they always give us space to display snowmobiles. And there's one in Spokane as well. It's just, it's kind of neat. There's a little bit of an affinity and a love for allowing people to display and show old stuff.
That's cool. And you're right. Like you said, it's a great way to find these other people that are interested in the same hobby and strike up relationships with them and stay in touch with them.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Because it's one thing to enjoy this hobby on your own, but when you have friends, like-minded friends, it really makes it so much more fun and interesting, because very often they have sleds too, and it's fun to see what they have, and they like to see what you have, and it's just a really good time.
No, I totally agree. And I've been lucky. When I moved to Washington, I ended up finding a couple really good snowmobile buddies that are just within 30 minutes of me.
Perfect.
And one of those buddies helped me house most of this collection until I found a garage that would house it for myself. So he's, a great friend.
Wonderful. Well, that's cool. Well, we're running out of time for this segment, but did you have any final thoughts or anything else you'd like us to see before we wind it down?
Well, I've been just kind of walking around here showing different angles and different things, but if anybody had questions or wanted to know any more about something, or if I thought I knew where some parts were or something to help with the restoration, I'm always happy to kind of help out with that stuff.
Wonderful. Yeah, I appreciate that. So if anyone does have questions along that line, please leave them in the comments here, and Steve will be checking the comments a little later after the program, and he'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Well, good deal. Well, yeah, I really appreciate your coming on here tonight, Stephen. It's been really great having you on.
Yeah, thanks for, I told you this before we started, but thanks for kind of being a pioneer in this podcast of vintage snowmobile stuff, and, making it more than just internet surfing for pictures and that other stuff. There's a coolness to watching the podcast, and there's a coolness to looking forward to something on Thursday night every week. Nice. And, I know that, there's a ton of time and hours and energy that you put into lining something up every week. Yes. So that's not just a hit or miss. That's not just a fly by night event. So thanks for dedicating a lot of your time and energy to make that happen.
Well, I really appreciate the comment. It's great to hear that. And yes, you're right. There's a lot of work that goes into this. And when I see a lot of people interested in it, on here every week, and people like yourself coming on and paying compliments, and I see the comment section just fills right up, that just makes this so satisfying to do. And yeah, so thank you. I appreciate the compliment, but I pay it back to everyone else too for making this possible, because it takes everyone that's involved with this to keep this going. Because I couldn't do this if it was crickets.
Well, it wouldn't be rewarding if it were crickets, right?
True. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Hey, can I give one shameless plug to the New Hampshire Snowmobile Museum that's going to try a virtual vintage rally this coming weekend?
Please do. And while you do, I'm going to pull up a graphic I have for them, because they are good friends of mine as well. But yeah, I'll pull up that graphic, and if you want to talk it up under the graphic.
Yeah. Well, man, I haven't been in that room of the museum for a little while, and I can see a sled way back in the corner that we donated, my dad and I. That's pretty nice. That's pretty heartfelt image. You found the right one for me tonight.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so they're going to try a vintage virtual rally this weekend, and it starts at 8:00 Eastern time on Facebook. And I don't know all the rules, but I think the rules are about like this. You submit one picture for the sled you're wanting to display, and you have to be in the picture. And you can post as many sleds as you want, different sleds, one picture per sled, and you have to be in the picture. And they've got prizes and door prizes, and they've gone to a lot of trouble to try to figure out how to do something interesting and cool in this world of social distanced stuff. So
that's an innovative idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a great group of people. They really are. Do you know how someone might find this if they'd like to find it on Saturday? Is there a website or a Facebook or?
Yeah. Well, apparently they've got a Facebook event set up, so that's supposed to go live at 8 o'clock on Saturday. You could also check out their museum webpage at www.nhsnowmobilemuseum.com.
Yes, in fact, I've got that on the screen at the bottom of this graphic. You can see their web address. I may even have their web address in the comments of this, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, and or you can search on Facebook to get that link as well. I think they have a Facebook page as well, or I know they have a Facebook page as well.
They do, yeah. Good deal. Good deal. Well, great. Well, yeah, I really appreciate your coming on, Stephen. It's been really good meeting you and great having you on.
Thank you.
All right, we'll have you on another time. I appreciate it.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
You too.
Well, that was a lot of fun, and I thank Stephen for coming on. That was a great look at his collection there. So let's take a look here at the menu for tonight. We have a few announcements. Number one, I got an email this week from Joseph Newman. Now, he was asking about an 86 Indy trail sled that he has. He needs a chain drive bearing and seal kit and a bottom bearing. It looks like it's missing a seal, and he's wondering if anybody has information or a printout on parts or anything that could help him with that. Now, if you've got something that could help him, if you're looking at his message here, if you've got something that can help him, either information or contact, please leave information for him in the comments section. I let him know we're going to be talking about this tonight, and he's going to be looking in the comment section for that. Now, a couple of other quick things. We've got some sleds for sale. This is a sled that's for sale. This is a vintage Panther for sale by Crane's Snowmobile Museum in Lancaster, New Hampshire. If you're curious about this sled, give a call and ask for Paul Crane. The number's on the screen, 603-443-7272. Now, Paul also has for sale an early Polaris. This was formerly on display in the Crane Snowmobile Museum, Lancaster, New Hampshire. If you're curious about purchasing this sled, give Paul a call, 603-443-7272. Now, I also want to give a shout out to our friends at the Lancaster Motel, because right now they're having a 2-for-1 special if you'd like to go out there and do some trail riding. If you'd like to go out, if you can go in the middle of the week as opposed to a weekend, you can get 2 nights for the price of 1, and you can ride those historic trails. If you have not heard about this, Lancaster, New Hampshire is the first town. What am I trying to say? The first snowmobile club in America was formed in Lancaster, New Hampshire, and a lot of those early trails that they developed as part of that club still exist today. They're called the Legacy Trails, and you can still ride those historic trails. This club was formed back in 1964. So if you're interested in snowmobile history, it's a great way to ride some of the earliest trails in America and be a part of that first snowmobile club in America. Also, walking distance from the Lancaster Motel is Crane's Snowmobile Museum, and I have a graphic for them here somewhere as well, right here. Now, if you're booking something at the Lancaster Motel, you'll also want to call ahead once you've booked your room to Crane's Snowmobile Museum to book a time to visit the museum, because it is by appointment only. But it's a great way if you want to combine some trail riding with some incredible snowmobiling history. You're not going to get a better experience than spending time at the Lancaster Motel. Here's the information for them. Their phone number is on the screen there. There are 2 requirements if you want to take advantage of this 2-for-1 offer that they're doing. Number one, you have to have a membership card for any snowmobile club. And if you don't happen to have a membership card for a snowmobile club, you can also join the Lancaster Snowdrifters. And the nice thing about that, you'll have a card from them that you can put in a frame and keep on your wall, and you can point at it and tell people, I'm a member of the first snowmobile club in America. So not only is it a cool club to join, it's an incredible keepsake. The other thing you need to do to take advantage of this 2-for-1 special is mention that you heard about this offer from the nice folks, that's me, of course, at Vintage Snowmobile Lovers, because these are good friends of mine at the Lancaster Motel and Crane Snowmobile Museum. So when you call both of them, tell them that your friend Mike from Vintage Snowmobile Lovers sent you, and that's how you take advantage of all of this. So let's continue with the program. We've got some more videos to show you. Next up, we have Midge Rosebrook. from the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. He is the founder and organizer of that, and he has an announcement to make. I met with him recently at the Lancaster Motel in the lobby where he made this announcement. This announcement is the inductees. Pardon me. My throat is not good tonight. He's going to tell us about the 2021 inductees for the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. Let's take a look.
Hi, folks.
What's going on with this? I apologize, folks. I'm having a technical issue bringing
This is Midge Rosebrook here announcing new inductees for 2021. We're going to have our induction at Crane Snowmobile Museum September 11th, Saturday at 1:30. It's a ways off yet, but I thought I would give you 5 candidates for this year. The first one, going in alphabetical order, is Bill Abold. He was the head of Team Abold out in New York. Herb Yancey and Ron Hall were team members, and also Chip Elwood was a team member on that famous team. They probably, without a doubt, were the best snowmobile racing team, Arctic Cat team, in the history of the sport. They won just about everything. They took 6 or 7 World Series events. Herb Yancey was very, very big in that team. He won just about every huge, big event that there was to win back then. But the captain of the whole thing, and the guy that built the chassis for the team, is Bill Abold. And he's being inducted this year in 2021. The next inductee is our second lady racer. Her name is Diane Baker from New York. And I know you can't see the small print on her resume here, but she's got an extensive record spanning 20 years. And I can't tell you everything that she won. It would take too long. But she was #1 in many, many years, top in points in her class. And we're very, very lucky to be able to induct Diane Baker this year. A third inductee is a person who has passed away, and his name is Robert Bottoms. Bob Bottoms was the president of Timberland Machines, and it was he, along with his first employee, Paul Crane, who were invited to Valcourt back in 1958 to try out this little machine that J. Arm and Bombardier had invented for trappers and large logging operations, and he called it a ski dog. And he wanted Bob to look at it to see if it was something that he thought he could sell. At that time, Timberland Machines was selling their logging equipment, Bombardier logging equipment, like the J5 and Muskeg and along that line. So he did go up, he and Paul, and Paul is credited as being the first person to ride a Bombardier Ski Doo, first American. And Bob looked at that, and I think as a genius entrepreneur that he was, I think he saw past that little sled as being just for trappers. And I think Bob Bottoms saw that as an enormous recreational wintertime boom. Yeah. So he did purchase that one little sled that they brought down on December 4th, 1959, which Paul uncrated and rode. And the rest is history. So there you are, Bob Bottoms. Very big player in the early snowmobile.
He brought the first ski doos to America.
Brought the first ski doo to America, and under his leadership, I might add, at the height of the snowmobile craze back in the 70s, 10,000 brand new ski doos went out of Timberland Machines each year to their dealers.
Wow,
it was huge. And here's our next inductee. Name got cut off up here by a mistake with a printer, but his name is Wayne Chip Elwood. He's the third racer in that big team of Team Abold, Bill Abold's team. And Chip had a huge record all by himself. He won many, many races for Team Abold. He was probably the most colorful racer in that team. Everybody loved Chip Elwood. And his name now, along with the other two team of bowl members, is going to be on the wall at Paul Crane's Museum. Our last inductee, fifth inductee, is Steve Fenoff. He's a Vermont racer, and he was probably our local hero, if you will, that didn't ride on a skidoo. He rode an Arctic Cat. And Steve came here in 1971 at the Grand Prix with a dozen factory teams out there, Timberland Machines, big team, and he took the 340 class in Mod 3, or Mod 2 rather, and it was an unbelievable feat for a local guy, but let me tell you, that's not the only one he won. He won many, and Steve Fenoff deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and he's going to join Roger Poulin, the two Vermont racers, on the wall of the museum. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's coming this fall, September 11th, Saturday, and we're going to start at 1:30 at Paul Crane's Museum here in Lancaster. And if you got to travel, right here at the Lancaster Motel where I'm sitting, is the place to stay. The historic Lancaster Motel is steep in the history of the snowmobile. They were from the get-go. So please set your reservations, call the Lancaster Motel, and I guess that's all I've got. Thank you.
Okay, we're back, and I think I cut that off a little early, and I apologize, but let me get this back to where, there we go. That's what I was looking for. In fact, let me change that up a little more. There we go. Okay, so where were we? Let's continue with the program here. I've got some videos I'd like to show you. Up next is some footage that was sent to me by Jack Ulch. This is footage from the Fast Eddie Vintage Snowmobile show at Houghton Lake, Michigan over the weekend. He sent me some great footage. Now, I do have to make a comment about this, and this is by no means Jack's fault because we didn't talk about this beforehand. He just sent me the footage. But one of the things that I like about this is people are starting to send me footage. But what I do need when people are sending footage is, if you possibly can, when you're taking the footage, to try to take it with your cameras horizontally for a wide shot as opposed to a vertical shot. Now, we hadn't talked about this beforehand, so this isn't Jack's fault in any way, but he did send me some vertical footage, and I was able to use it. I was able to kind of stretch it out so that we can see it, but you can tell the proportions are a little bit odd in the footage, but the footage has some incredible sleds, so I couldn't not use it. He sent me some amazing footage. So let's take a look at Jack's footage.
What's going on, Wade? Just doing a little Facebook Live here on you, bud. They're doing a little Facebook Live here on you. Tell us about your snowmobiles, Wade.
All right, so let's start with this one. It's a 440 crank shot motor. In Michigan, a half RPM.
3rd yesterday in Pro Stock 440. That's awesome. It's alive. It runs.
7,500 RPM.
What's the clutch gauge at?
7,500.
75.
This I bought probably 4 months ago out of Jackson, Michigan. I've always wanted a 77Z. It's all original seat cover, except the hood. The hood was redone. It came out of Alaska.
It needs to be black.
Yeah. So it came out of Alaska. And I put a seat cover on it. It's an NOS seat cover. He gave me the correct skis and NOS shocks. I still have the labels on it.
Well, you sure don't see the You sure don't see the Arctic Cat Z's around hardly, that's for sure.
So this is Reed induction motor, where the 76s there were piston port.
Right.
So this is the first year for Reed induction. It has 79 factory Snow Pro pipes.
Very nice.
They filled out to make these water pump out in the same weight.
Oh yeah.
Other than that, it's all original. Maybe the NOS gas tank on it.
Very nice.
Stuff that on it as well.
Very nice.
So, besides the hood, I got 2 other hoods. I'm gonna make one factory, and then I'll have this hood if I ever race it.
Very nice sled, Wade.
This one is a 76. I found this local to me.
76 Arctic Cat Z.
You see the difference here? And the water pump, or the water tank here, where on the 77s it's on the head.
Correct.
Factory mod pipes on it. It's been ported, not by me. But when I found the sled, this motor was sitting in a bin. It had grass all over it. It looked like it was sitting in the bin for 20 years. No bullshit, I stuck it in the sled, hooked up. Nobody put the wiring, hooked it up. 10 minutes later, I had that thing running.
Awesome. Awesome.
Pretty cool. I owned one of these at 16. I bought my first one at 16. Sold it in the early 2000s. It went to Traverse City. This is my fourth seat total. This is a newer build. It's a RV chassis with a modern 670. Got a Burdick suspension.
Union Bay Racing hat on it.
121 track. There's a 700 mod class.
Oh yeah.
Just got to get a few clutching work done to it.
Correct.
We're there.
Oh yeah.
I'm probably gonna try some more 49.
And you live down to South Haven, right? South Haven, Michigan, all the way up here to Houghton Lake, the Fast Eddie's show.
Yeah.
Wade raced yesterday, did real good. Today he's just showing.
Yeah, so that was Jack Ulch's footage from the Fast Eddie Vintage Snowmobile Show in Houghton Lake, Michigan over the weekend. Thank you so much, Jack, for sending that footage. Those are some incredible sleds that Wade had there, and I thank you for sending that in. And I'm really pleased, by the way, that people are starting to send me footage and people are starting to contact me about coming on as a live guest on the show. I thank everyone for that, and I would love for that to continue. So if you have footage or are interested in taking some footage, or if you would like to come on live, or if you know someone who you think has a nice collection that they'd like to, they should come on live, please reach out to me. I'm going to put my email address up on the screen here. Let me find it right here. That's not it. This is it right here. Yeah, either email me here or at the Vintage Snowmobile Lovers Facebook page, either about footage or about coming on live, either for yourself or if you know someone who you think would be suitable to come on, someone who has some sleds that we'd like to look at. They don't even have to be perfect sleds. They can be projects in the works or anything like that. My goal here is just to be a way to put this hobby in front of everyone. So we're not doing this all on our own, especially during these times of a pandemic. It's a way to have kind of a virtual show and a virtual experience where all of us who enjoy this hobby can do some show and tell together. So I really like the prospect of that. Now, where was I? I have some other footage that I have. This is a footage that was sent by Brian Robillard. Now, Brian has been sending me a lot of footage. He's been on here live, and he's got some other sleds that we're going to come on in the near future. He's going to show us live these other sleds too. But let's take a look now at some footage that he sent to me. These are his Ski Doo Citations.
Hi, this is Brian Robillard here with my small Ski Doo Citation collection. Starting from left to right, this is my 1978 Ski Doo Citation 300. I recently picked up. Currently does not run, but it does have spark and everything. I hope to get it running in the near future and get the seat recovered. It's all original. Then right here is my 1980 Ski Doo Citation SS that I also recently picked up. Also all original except for the seat cover. Needs very little work. It's got the 377 dual carb. And last but not least, there's my 87 Ski Doo Citation LS that's been previously on here. Both the SS and the LS run. Hopefully, like I said, getting this 300 running in the near future. But hope you enjoyed the sleds.
Yeah, thank you so much to Brian Robillard for that footage. I really appreciate that. And that's the kind of thing that we're looking for here on the program. And I'm going to show you some visual aids, because if you're thinking about doing a kind of a walk around footage, talking up your sleds, all you have to do is just grab your cell phone, hold it like this. Sorry. You don't want to hold it like this. You want to hold it like this. And just walk around the sled and talk it up like you're telling a friend about it. Now, there are a couple of things that could help you. Let me just out of my reach here. I go to shows with this. It's just a little hand grip, and there's a little bracket on there. Let me, okay, this makes it a little easier to do my show and tell here. I just hook my camera in here, and I walk around with it, and it makes it's more comfortable to hold, and the camera is more stable doing it that way. And also the other thing too is I'm not a tall person, so it's easy for me to stay low with the camera. When you're walking around the sled, it always looks better the lower that you can keep it. One of the best ways to keep the camera low is a selfie stick, because you can put it kind of down low and tilt the camera up. Another item is one of these. This is like a cheap little miniature tripod with the same kind of clamp in there for a cell phone. They make cheap versions of this and expensive versions of this. This is one of the cheapest ones you can get, and I basically got what I paid for. It's really cheap. If you crank on this thing very much, you're going to pop it and break it off, but it works good. I've got a few of them. I think they were $7 or $8 a piece on eBay, and I just consider them disposable. So I go back and forth on these. This one I use when I'm walking around because it's just a handle. It's hard to keep that in front of the camera for some reason. But this one, if I'm somewhere when I want to set it down, like on a table or something, I can flip these little feet out like this, and it makes like a nice little stable platform to hold the cell phone on a table or a flat surface, a table or a counter or anything like that. Let me just set these down. So that is the request I'm making of you guys. If you guys want to do a walk around talking up your sled, I would love to feature that here on the podcast. Also, if you're going to shows, vintage snowmobile shows, and want to take some footage, you can either talk up what the camera is looking at or not. It's either way is good. I understand not everyone is comfortable talking things up, and that's cool. That's totally cool. I can just put some music under it or something on my end in editing, and I can edit out things or edit things in, whatever needs to happen. The biggest thing though is please be sure to hold the camera horizontal like this for a wide shot, not vertical. You can see I've dropped this and cracked it. But so let's take a look at some more footage. My good friend Dan Steitz out in upstate New York he has a restoration shop, and he does some incredible restorations. Let's take a look.
Hi, my name's Dan Steitz, the owner of Seymour Sled Shop. Here's my 1978 Supersonic Moto Skis. I just got them restored. We'll do a little walk around here. A beautiful sled. From up in Hague, New York, Seymour Sled Shop. Buy, sell, and restore.
So there you have it. That was Dan Steitz, Moto Ski Supersonic that he restored. Now that footage he sent to me about 4 years ago, so that sled could very well be long gone. But it doesn't hurt to give him a call if you're curious about that. And if you are curious about that, once this program's over, go back and find that section of the program for that graphic with his information on it. His phone number is on there, and give him a call. Tell him you saw it on Vintage Snowmobile Lovers. Now, let me change screens here. I've got one more video to show you before we wind things down. This is some footage I got back in 2017 at the Crane Vintage Snowmobile Show in Lancaster, New Hampshire. This is Mike Fahey's 1966 Ski Doo.
I'm Mike Fahey, Twin Mountain, New Hampshire. This is my 1966 Ski Doo Olympic. Got a 10-horse motor, Rotax. And I built it from the ground up. And it's not perfect yet, but I'm working for it, working at it. And it's a lot of fun. I'm doing a 65 now also.
Good.
So, very addicting once you get started on something like this. It's, on and on.
I'll bet. Now, do you specialize just in Ski Doo or other brands too?
Just Ski Doo.
Just Ski Doo. Cool.
Yeah.
I bet it is, yeah. Well, good. Well, I appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah, that was very cool. Nice meeting him. This is, God, I can't believe it was 4 years ago, but it's amazing how time flies. Well, we are about out of time tonight. I appreciate your coming on, and I am losing my voice, so the timing is perfect for us to wind it down. But thank you so much for viewing tonight. Look for us next week, same bat time, same bat channel, 9 p.m. Eastern time, right here on Vintage Snowmobile Lovers. And before we go, let's take a quick look at the Mad Ramps product.
It's the ultimate combination of simplicity and ingenuity. The newest way to load, unload, and transport your ATV or UTV. The Mad Ramps Pivoting Ramp System. Made in the USA and engineered for strength and durability. Maneuver through tight places and over rugged terrain with plenty of ground clearance. No licensing, no ongoing maintenance costs, and no storage hassles like trailers. Won't slip or move like conventional ramps. Free up more cargo space in the bed of your truck. Securely connects to your truck's receiver hitch. Easily extends for safe loading and unloading. Seamlessly retracts for highway and off-road travel. DOT approved in all 50 states and Canada. Quickly disconnects in under a minute. A unique space-saving storage system. The Mad Ramps Pivoting Ramp System. Go farther. Go faster. Go safer.
When you order using the link in the description, I'll send you 3 free Vintage Snowmobile DVDs. When you order using the link in the description, I'll send you 3 free Vintage Snowmobile DVDs.